Hello everyone. This is a quick tour of my phase 1 setup. I feel like it's one of the optimal setups to prepare for success going forward. Starts with our power setup, which is 15 of these biomass burners, which gives us a 450 capacity. This is going to hold our excess once we have excess of solid biofuel. This is producing the biofuel, constructor. We need Mark II belts. This is going to hold the extra biomass when that comes along, and then another Mark II belt here and another Mark II belt on the wood. We've got leaves here and wood here, and actually I might be missing, another Mark II belt here for the leaves on the backside. This is a normal setup for biomass. We use 15 because that's the most we can have with a 60 belt or with a single constructor, so that's why we're using 15 of these. It's enough for fully automating everything in Tier 1. Now let's head over to our basic iron. I'll also link all the factory stuff down below. But the first thing we have is we have 60 ore coming into 2 smelters, just straight up 2 constructors, so this is 40 plate per minute, which is plenty to get us through the vast majority of the game. Next is another 60 incoming into 2 smelters. This is going into 4 iron rod constructors. 3.5 of those are going into just pure iron rods, and then the last one is being split because we actually don't need a lot of screws, so I think you can overproduce screws. It's better to just throw them in a container for more iron rods. When you're initially starting, when I started this, I actually had more screws being produced. That's why I have a merger here, because I had 3 constructors, because you need them for research, but once your research is done, half a constructor worth 30 per minute, that's plenty. That's more than plenty. So that's all the basic iron, those 3 things: screws, iron rods, and plates. Next up is our, we have 60 more ore coming in, and this is for reinforced plate, so that's getting split. And then we use 1.5 constructors of iron plate, and then the other half of that ore goes into iron rod. Iron rod, this should be 2 constructors. I screwed up and then I didn't want to have to rebuild everything, so I just have this increased to 50%. It's only using a little tiny bit of extra megawattage, I think 0.8 extra megawatt over having 2 constructors with one toned down to 50%. This pumps out 60 screws, that pumps out 30 plate, which is exactly enough for 1 reinforced iron plate constructor. It mats out really nicely. Next up is rotors. We're once again using 60 ore. That's coming from over there. This is going into 2 smelters. And then this is where we start. So for this one, we're going to use the cast screw alternate recipe because it helps with the math and helps with the cleanliness. So we've got 2 constructors worth of iron rod. This one is only at 77.8%. And then we've got 50 screw cast screw and another 50 screw cast screw. That's 100. So this is exactly what we need for a single constructor worth. We need 100 screws per minute, which means we have a Mark II belt there. We've got 20 iron rod coming in, so that's where this maths out. So we got 15, and then we've got another 11.67, so that's 20 plus, we've got a 33%, so plus 6.667. So that's where that math comes from. So 2 screw constructors, and then we have a partial screw constructor here producing 33%. So we get to eke out an extra 1.333 per minute out of that 60 by doing that. So that's our rotors. And then we start getting into modular plate and smart plating. We do those together with 120. We have 120 coming in. This one is pure manifold setup, so we've got 4 smelters all merging into 1, and then they're all feeding into, we have iron plate, 2 full iron plate. Can't remember, were we supposed to tone one of these down? Oh, it's like 1.95 constructors of iron plate. So this doesn't quite use the full 120. It's just like 1.5 away or something like that. So it's not worth, it's like 118.5. So it's really not worth trying to add extra stuff to eke out a little tiny bit more. Iron rods, iron rod math, we end up with 1.86667 of these. So that's a total of, I believe, 28 iron rods coming out. And then the screws, we do a little bit of math on here. So this one puts out 50, which is what we need for half of our rotor setup here. I need to check why it's not quite full. I believe it's because these are not quite full, but the math should be fine. It's not fully producing rotors, which I think ends up causing some issues here. Let me go ahead and prime this. There's some weird stuff here. I'm going to replace it with a smart splitter eventually so that I can make sure the overflow works correctly. But math-wise, it should be fine. These just need to stay full of iron rods, and then it should be fine. Anyway, so we got the iron rods going, and then we got the screws, a full 50 going into half of that. And then I divide these in a specific way. So this one's outputting 50, and then I tone this one down to taking in 50. So this reinforced iron plate assembler is actually at 83.333%, which the remainder is another 46.667%. And that's just so I can make the screw math make sense. So 28 screws coming out here, 28 coming into here. So we get the perfect amount of reinforced iron plate for that. So we got half a rotor, we've got some reinforced iron plate, and then that moves forward to here. All three of these take reinforced iron plate. This one takes 3. Yeah, this is a full modular frame, so this takes 3 per minute. This takes 1.5 per minute for another 1, so this is at 50%. So we get a total of 3 modular frame per minute. And then the rest of it goes into here, and this is producing smart plating, which is obviously important for us. And so the iron rods, the extra iron rods get fed here to go to a modular frame. The reinforced plate gets fed to all 3, and then the rotors go directly across to here. And this is producing 2 smart plate and 3 modular frame per minute, and that's plenty for our needs. That's a perfect amount for our needs. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the concrete production. Concrete is obviously very important when you're trying to build bases and stuff. So I actually have 2 containers because when I get my dimensional depot going, I'm going to have 2 dimensional depots so that I can upload twice as fast, and hopefully that'll help me keep up with demand if I start building a giant base or something. So these are coming from 2 normal constructors, but both of them are overclocked by 50%. So this 90 per minute, and then that one is also 90 per minute. And that's just going to help the math a little bit so that it ends up being 180 in total. And lets us have 4 constructors worth, so we're producing a total of 60 concrete per minute. The last thing up is our copper. Okay, copper is very simple. We've got 2 nodes, 60 and 60. That's all you need. The first node is producing pure wire, so it's being split into 4 wire constructors, 100%. 2 of those are being fed into a container, which is, so that's 60 per minute, and then the other 2, the other 60 per minute, are being fed into a single cable constructor, which gives us 30 per minute. So we have 30 cable and 60 wire per minute. And then the other one is purely dedicated to copper sheet. It just maths out really nicely. It's probably a little bit excessive, but the math is so nice it's hard to not do. So this produces 60, and then the 60 gets split into 20, 20, 20, which produces 30 copper sheet, and then the 30 copper sheet get fed into here. All right, so that's the phase 1 factory. I will leave a link to the calculator, so if you want to follow, you can. But I think that this really prepares you for success going forward.